Hello and welcome to Moving Parts Gaming. I'm Riley, and this is Rome Total War. So I know I've been saying I'm just going to do a strategy game on this channel for a while now, so it's finally that time. With one of my favorites, I think I like Medieval more, but definitely one of the highlights of the Total War series. And of course, because we're going to try to find a challenge and make this as challenging as possible, right? So, how are we going to do that? We can start by trying to find the hardest faction to play as, and generally in this game, two candidates come down for hardest faction. It's the Numidians and the Seleucids. The Numidians start kind of in this North Africa region just south of Spain, but they're largely considered hard because they have these big regions of just desert. Their early game units are javelins and missile cavalry, which is kind of like all bells and whistles and no like actual core army strength, which makes them pretty hard to fight as, because once you run out of javelins to throw, your cavalry just turns into normal light cavalry and your javelins turn into extra weak light infantry, which makes it pretty hard to fight some of the other factions in the area. And I think that kind of makes the Numidians kind of boring in general, so let's instead look at the Seleucids. The Seleucids, the time period that the game is trying to display for the Seleucids is long after their kind of high point. They used to kind of occupy a big part of the Middle East area. However, they've kind of lost big portions of it because they're on the decline. And normally when you play this game, the Seleucids are going to be the first out because they're just sandwiched between so many other larger factions. So I'm going to instead be trying to play as the Seleucids. Now that's all great and good and stuff, however, that's still not interesting enough. I'm going to take it one step farther and try to attempt a challenge that's present in the later versions of this game. Specifically, like in later versions where they've retooled the diplomacy mechanics, you're able to just like open diplomacy and talk to other factions and declare war with other factions just through like opening the diplomacy tab. Now that opens us up to a whole new challenge where you have to declare war on every faction when you encounter them. Generally, this is called, this is Total War, named so because like there's now achievements and like Steam achievements recognizing it as such. However, that's not really possible to do in this because you can't declare war through diplomacy, and you can only engage in diplomacy by using diplomats. So you have to like walk this slow diplomat out to every faction if you wanted to attempt something like that. Well, I should say it used to be impossible. However, I did some digging into the game code and kind of made my own small mini mod. So specifically what I did is that I went into the describe strat file, which you can find in by going into the local files for the game. Most people are fairly familiar with this as the file you have to edit to unlock all of the factions. However, if we scroll all the way down to the bottom here, we come to the starting diplomacy section, where we can not only adjust the sentiment of different factions to each other, we can also change the starting diplomacy with other factions. But specifically what I did here was that I went down to the slave category, copied this whole chunk of text, went over to my friends the Seleucids, pasted it there, and then changed this 600 to this nice little phrase, @_war_with. Now when we start the game, we're not going to have to worry about diplomats. We're not going to have to worry about going to each faction to declare war on them. We're going to start off at war with everyone. That's right, we're going to intentionally choose probably the second weakest faction and start off at war with every other faction in the game, and hopefully we'll be able to survive. I know that AI in this game will very likely start sending full stacks at us. They don't care how far they have to travel, they will send people after you.
The Greeks could rule the world. Alexander did. He took a Greek army to the far Indus. There was nothing left to conquer. The world was his. But Alexander is dead. His empire is gone. And so we live in evil days. The free men of Greece have turned on each other instead of their proper enemies, those who envy all that Greeks have done. Alexander must weep if the dead weep. I would weep in his place, but I would also hope. The world turns. What was may come again. The fates still spin the web of men's lives. So now, perhaps the gods wish Greeks to be great again. Perhaps a new Alexander will take up the sword. Bring order where there is chaos. Remake the world of men to a better plan. Perhaps.
Okay, and we are in. Alright, this is a... Okay, so for full disclosure, this is my second attempt at doing the Seleucids Against Everyone campaign. My first attempt I got about maybe 30 turns in, and then realized that I ran into a problem with the audio program and ended up with like 2.5 hours of unrecorded audio. So this is just starting over. I didn't get too far, but I do know that I do have a decent idea of how to at least get started, so I at least know that we're not going to get destroyed right off the bat going to war with everyone. It still remains to be seen whether or not we can survive. And specifically because I've already played this a small bit, you know, with the whole 2.5 hours of unrecorded audio, I'm going to give myself an extra bit of a challenge. So for our campaign purposes, I'm going to set my own win condition as I have to take I think it's called Campus Dacia, which is in this like circle of mountains in kind of this Poland region. Take Rome, and then take Carthage. I think if I'm able to take those 3 cities, as well as like everything between here and there, I can safely say that I've defeated every faction type, like every culture type in the game, as like barbarian, Hellenistic, Eastern, and then Roman. I think that's all of them. I don't know. And however, if I lose Antioch, which is my current capital right here, diplomat, what do I want to do with diplomat? I don't know, I guess head up this way?
Yes, my lord. No more moves, sir.
If I lose Antioch, or if I lose Seleucia, then we can call it a campaign over. I lose. That's it. One, because, you know, well, you don't want to lose your capital, and I mean, Antioch's pretty... Oh, I just remembered what I should have done with the diplomat. I have a better goal for you.
Moves deplete.
But yeah, we shouldn't have to worry about Antioch. Antioch's our capital, and we don't want to lose that. But it's fairly well protected, and it has fairly high... It can produce a lot of soldiers very quickly, so we should be okay in that sense. And then how can you call yourself the Seleucids if you're not holding on to Seleucia? And that's where the real challenge is going to come in, because Parthia has one major city kind of back here in the mountains. I'm not exactly sure where. Then they have like Baghdad or something like right here. Gartha, I think is what it's called. And those are both major powerhouse cities for them, which they'll be able to launch attacks from us on very early. So we're going to want to make sure we are well enforced here, at least enough to discourage any attacks, period. I think my first moves are to get production of soldiers and everything going, and I want to start scouting out Sidon, which is right around here. It's an Egyptian city. I want to try to start by heading south and take out Egypt before it gets too strong. Their faction's main units are fairly weak. Just jump down there. They are fairly weak against our faction type, which is primarily phalanx. While we're at it, let's also bump up tax rates everywhere and get roads down. If you can build... I'll also disband any peltasts and peasants. For peasants, we want to make sure we're getting that population into circulation so we get growth on it. Hatra needs walls, first of all, and Hatra doesn't have anything it can really build. I'm going to leave those... Should I leave those peasants there? Yeah, we can leave those peasants there. Well, are we in danger of public order? Just barely. Blue, we can live with blue face. Same with you. I'm going to disband peltasts because peltasts are actually pretty expensive. You have walls, so we don't need to worry about that. But let's get roads down so we can get help out to you should you need it. And we're stuck with those units there for now. And then for Sardis, we can break down the peasants and get some militia going. And again, start building up the tax rate. I'll come back to you to decide if I want to do anything with your buildings. So now we're starting to run out here. Can I get one of my people here out there? Okay, so I'm going to put one more unit of militia, and then I can break down these peasants without worrying. Break you guys down. So Hephaestus is unit upgrades. Dionysus is public order, but you also get negative perks on any governors there. And then Asclepius is just general public order. I need to figure out which settlements, like I know Antioch's going to be a big production house for units, but I need to determine if Tarsus is or isn't. I'm not sure about that yet. And that's going to determine which religious building we build there. We can come back to that. As for Sardis, I know for sure they should get a Hephaestus. Hephaestus? Probably Hephaestus. And that's it with the money. And we can't even build anything in Antioch. But I can break down this unit of peltasts. That will save us money next turn. And I'll go through this real fast to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, let's intern and see if we get any sight of enemies early on. I'm not thinking too much. I'm not thinking we're going to see anyone too quickly. It looks like we have our first case of rebels up here by Hatra. Looks like mostly pretty weak Eastern infantry guys. Not too worried about that, and they're on the road, which means that they should be blocking any forces that come down south. Armenia has a city like right there, like right at the foot of the mountains, which they are going to use to launch attacks on Hatra. You keep going that way. What is that? Incense. Okay. What is that supposed to... I guess it kind of looks like a big standy thing holding white, yellowish powder. I guess that's incense. Yeah, they're going to be launching attacks south, so I don't mind rebels hanging out on the roads if it means that they're going to stop the movement of invading forces. And we start with a fairly strong economy, so we have a decent amount of money to start with now. Where's that diplomat? Diplomat, I want to keep moving south towards Sidon.
No more
Oh, and we
moves,
see our
sir.
first glimpse of Egypt. Oh, and another rebel army. And Egypt likes to hang out on this border. I'm not exactly sure why. Damascus would be a good candidate for a production, or would be a good candidate for a military city. So I'm thinking I want to get Hephaestus. No, but they're not that close to it. So we can get land clearance going there, because we do need that population up as fast as possible. Tarsus is in dire need of walls, so let's make sure we get that down first. And we need to send forces to help out Hatra, because we only have one person there right now. Is there anyone who can get there in one turn? No. No. I can send these two together and head in that direction. I'll send the governor with them too. I want to drop a watchtower right there.
Build tower.
Then can I get the governor back there? No, I can't. That's too bad. I'll have to drop the tax rate in Antioch, at least for now. Let's do Blueface again. We have no reason to get shipwrights going just yet. We could build that for Peltasts. It would be nice. We want to get to levy pikemen as soon as possible because they are going to be the main backbone of our forces. Militia hoplites are pretty bad. We can get a good amount of... We can really stretch them and get a good amount of use out of them. However, we don't want to rely on them for too long. Yeah, I think building up the road infrastructure might be our best first move, just starting off. And then I want to put watchtowers on at least one side of each bridge. And especially, like, occasionally along roads, because rebels are attracted to watchtowers. If watchtower's close to a rebel, they'll go and sit on it, which will deny you visibility from the watchtower. And they like to troll you like that, but the upside to that is that if you put one, like, on a bridge, they will go and sit on the watchtower, but that also blocks the bridge. So if you are dealing with a potential invasion from the opposite side of that bridge, they'll actually come sit on the bridge and keep enemy armies from crossing it to attack you. Which is fairly helpful. Yeah, so we want to make sure we want the barracks out here for militia hoplites as soon as possible. But right now they are good for where they're at. Hatra is in a dangerous position. We should get the barracks going there. We need to keep producing hoplites out of you. You're okay for right now. Yeah, you're building walls. And we need more hoplites from you. I believe that's all for... Oh wait, can't forget about Sardis. So, of course I didn't forget about Sardis here. We want to make sure we have a good number of troops there just to hold the city. And let's see. Yeah, because we're floating the money at this point, we can go ahead and build mines just to get some production going. Get a decent amount of income. And then with you, I want to come down to this bridge, and just like before, let's drop a watchtower right next to the bridge. And I think that just gave us sight of Rhodes. Rhodes would be a nice city to take. And this kind of territory's fairly horizontal. I believe that's it for our turn, so let's end turn, and I think we may start to see more movement. Oh, our one boat's getting attacked. Yeah, we start with like one boat right here. And it's in like this whole area by Greece is fairly dangerous water, so it's like not a whole lot we can do with it. It basically exists. Yep. It basically exists to get destroyed by Greece and Macedon. Good attacker. I want to say no and see if we can't get someone better. No, we should be close enough. Still not close enough. I can get a horse there, though.
Leaving the army! Sir!
And I want you to keep moving in this direction.
Leaving the army! Onward!
And I'll put you back in Antioch.
Move, sir! Sir, onward!
Would I describe it as the most optimal movements? Probably not. But it's getting the job done. And there is Palmyra. A fairly dangerous city. Let's see, Bedouin warriors, that should be heavy cav. Light cav, okay. Eastern infantry isn't much, but horse archers are extremely dangerous. And we don't want to underestimate 2 chevron archers, especially at this early in the game.
My lord?
And our diplomat might finally be close enough to get a view of... Oh, not yet.
At once.
There it is. There is Sidon, and I'll stand right about here to give us a view of both sides of Sidon. We want to keep producing hoplites, because we'll need an army to attack Palmyra. I'm probably going to wait it out, just because we're not the best army at sieges. So it might be in our best interest just to wait it out. And again, we're also going to launch an attack on Sidon if we get lucky with its garrison. Basically because we'll have view of it, we just want to sit and wait until we are in a position to attack. Meanwhile, Seleucia is just doing its own thing. Yep, Seleucia remains in our hands and safe. Now that we have Tarsus at least walled in, we can get a barracks going, so now we can start producing at least one more bit of militia to help us out. And likewise, we'll soon have a barracks over in Hatra, so we won't need to worry about Hatra, or at least we won't need to worry about sending reinforcements to Hatra anytime soon. Sidon continues being, Sardis. Sardis continues being Sardis at this point. And we could probably produce a few more of you guys out of here. We have a lot of gold right now, but that's not going to stay like that for long. Once we end up with a decent number of hoplite militia around, we're going to start running out of gold fairly quickly. Nothing new from the notifications. I believe this may have been a... Yeah, I believe this was a fairly uneventful turn.
Yes,
almost there. We need to keep an eye on Tarsus because we do have a Ponic city just on the other side of the mountains, and they'll come down to attack very soon. Egypt's on its own time frame. Then same with Parthia and Armenia. We have enemies in the mountains. And it's only a matter of time. Producing. Okay, and we can intern and see what happens. See if any of our enemies will start... Oh, there's our first view of Pontus. And like I was saying, they come and attack Tarsus.
We are under...
And they continue to bully and push around our boat.
Roll for your life!
Don't really care too much. I mean, it sucks, but there's no other way. How did our faction leader die? I don't think that's still really early, isn't it?
Sir!
Well, let's get you in here, and we're in a better position with that. Oh, that means we don't have a general there. That's annoying.
Yes, strategos! Sir! Sir!
And we can go send an army to back up Tarsus.
Move out!
Should they decide to attack. That's their faction heir. So in total, what,
yes,
5 units? Not the best defense, but I still feel like we could pull that off. Put up for another set of militia. At this point, let's go ahead and get the militia barracks, well, after the road ends. Yeah, I'll go ahead and lower taxes on Antioch for now. As for Damascus, can have a Hephaestus, so that it's going to keep producing slightly. Well, we could send soldiers to Antioch for training. Yeah, I checked it, and we might as well do a Hephaestus here, just to make it a little bit easier to train troops. I was thinking Lesbios might give us better trade or some kind of better financials, but it really doesn't until you get to the Pantheon level. At that point, you're so far into the campaign that it might as well not even matter. So I'm not too worried in that regard. What do we need more, the barracks or the walls? We have a decent number of troops here. Let's go with walls. Well, I just tempt fate like that. Who's our new faction? Where are you? Oh, you're way out here. That is inconvenient. He does have a lot of influence, though. Yeah, they must have had an army in the woods.
Yes, master.
We must have had that army must have been hiding there. So we have troops producing in Damascus. We have troops in Antioch. We should produce troops in Hatra as well, and get the population headed in the right direction there, so that everyone who can produce troops in buildings is producing troops in buildings. And of course, I haven't forgotten Sardis. What does Sardis want? Sardis could probably go with land clearance to get population headed in the right direction, and we can start getting those early. We can start getting like compounding interest on our population. We want to build that up as quickly as possible. And I'm going to travel along the road and place down watchtowers along the road for the same reason that we talked about earlier. It would be great to get Cretan archers and slingers. Those guys are good. Fairly on the expensive side. Just a touch. But it's good to know they're there.
Onward! Out of move, sir!
There should be a rebel city right there that we might be able to take. Oh, as also, Halicarnassus is just to our south, and that's a fairly well-guarded rebel city too. So, just stuff to think about. Settlement besieged. And if there's our end of turn report, it looks like nothing else new from the notifications. So hopefully they'll either make the attack here, or will retreat. Hopefully they don't try to just starve us out here. That would suck. Okay, in turn. More movement from Egypt. Oh, and there's our good friends Parthia.
We are besieged!
And our boats attacked again. And yeah, it's too bad, but bound to happen. I think the rebel army in the north got bigger. They may have gotten bigger. So let's look at the Parthian force. It's their faction leader, and they do have cataphracts. Cataphracts are dangerous. Extremely deadly heavy cavalry, like Bronze Age medieval knights. With extremely high morale, they'll fight us to the last man, and probably they don't even flinch at phalanxes. I believe Parthia starts with a few units of cataphracts, but don't start in a position to produce them. So if we're able to kill their cataphracts, it's probably 2 units of cataphracts, 2 units of horse archers, if I remember what they start with correctly. However, if we're able to kill those, they won't be in a position to reinforce them or continue producing them, at least for a few turns. So that is a highlight. I think they do have some infantry here, so I am guessing that they will be able to follow through with the siege and won't just try to outlast us. We're starting to get a decent-sized force here in Damascus, so it might be an idea to march north to reinforce Tarsus, but that's probably a 3 to 4 turn walk with the roads as undeveloped as they are right now. We would be much better off going for Sidon with the forces we produce here, which is kind of unfortunate. In the meantime, we need to continue producing hoplites out of Antioch. Why aren't we I thought I told you to start this. As for Damascus, yep, same hoplites, and we'll get the trader going. That will help us with some population growth, and will give us some income, and will unlock the it will give us the blacksmith. Hatra continues producing farms, and we keep getting units there. Can't do anything with Seleucia, and it's back to Sardis. So, we want to keep moving, pushing slowly into the fog of war and dropping down watchtowers on the road. Mostly just so we can have an idea of our own territory.
March! Build tower!
And is that the pass? Yeah, that's the pass we saw earlier. So it looks like they're sending forces. If we buy a few mercenaries, and we do have a decent amount of money, we might be able to hold that pass and keep Pontus from sending reinforcements. Yeah, we could just buy all of these, can't we? Yeah, we can just buy all of the available mercenaries and hang out right, well, fairly close to the pass to keep reinforcements from coming to the siege. That will at least mean that these guys are on their own should they decide to attack. Hopefully they decide to attack, because I feel fairly certain I could win that siege. And if not, I'll probably send some of the mercenaries down south to Tarsus, then head the general back to Sardis, because Sardis needs all the help it can get. And Sardis keep producing militia, and we can retrain the existing ones so that they have the bonus from the temple we built. Double check the notifications. There's the end of turn report. New general. And it looks like Pontus and Armenia are teaming up against us, so our northern border, like I was saying, we have enemies in those mountains. Hatra needs to be prepared for an attack any day now. Alright, with nothing else left to do, we have to end turn, and I bet this is going to be our first turn where we don't make a profit. Oh, and it looks like Pontus is making the attack. So we have about 300 men in the city, and then 429 just outside. They are bringing in their faction heir, missile cavalry, heavy missile cavalry, and then eastern infantry. I believe this is like their starting army. And I think they only have one ram, they only have one set of infantry to attack with, but we should be able to win this.
Today is a grim day in the sight of the gods. They do not rejoice to see brave men die. By night, though, they will rejoice in a victory. This I pledge to you. Now, take up the sword. Look to your arms and armor. Now comes the hour when we test great courage.
I let the speech run out this time because I had something stuck in my teeth. Well, I had a popcorn kernel stuck in my teeth, and I used it as an opportunity to run to the bathroom and floss.
Units, hop like militia. Hop line.
So what we are going to do, at least until our reinforcements arrive... Yeah, this is a good time to point out... Actually, I'll get it set up first and then I'll talk.
Gods be praised! The reinforcements are here! Send them to fight! Dishearten the enemy!
So the reason why militia hoplites kind of suck is that their pointy sticks, their spears, are fairly short, especially compared to the other phalanx units. Which means only about two rows at best, can really have their spears out. And you can kind of see it too, if these guys would hold still. About only two of them will have spears down, and then the guy behind them will have spears pointed up or at the sky. Well, the problem with that is that with enough force, the enemy will be able to get past the spears and start attacking our guys. And at that point, the next row of spears should start poking at them, but at some point, they just run out of people with spears pointed down at the enemy. In this case, it's 2 rows worth, which the enemy's able to push through fairly quickly. The way around this, instead, is to put another row of phalanx right behind them, pull them nice and thin, so there's as many pointy sticks out, pointed at the enemy as possible, and then right behind them put another layer of phalanx pointed down, so that when they push through the first 2 layers, they'll hit the first layer of the next set of phalanx, and so on. So that even when your first group of people are fighting, you have guys right behind them poking away, giving some support. And that's generally the goal. You're not in phalanx. Oh, come on. And of course, our reinforcements I told to get to the town square as quick as possible. We'll need all of the support we can get before this battle is over. However, I'm not too worried about our eastern infantry spear guys over here. They're not all that strong. It's what's going to back them up in just a second. Yeah. So now we have the Punic cavalry, light and heavy, charging forward, as well as the infantry. At this point, I can go ahead and tell our missile guys to start throwing, because there's a good chance most of those should be hitting that heavy cav, and we want to be inflicting casualties to the heavy cav. And I should turn you on to guard mode so you don't get pulled out of position. Oh wow, they're pushing a lot harder than I thought they would. But yeah, they'll try to pull through as quickly as possible. And just like that, they're basically pulled through.
It would be better for your general to fall on his sword than live another day. He is running away!
And yeah, that's kind of what I expected at that point. Once they pull through like that, everyone's gonna break. Where's our backup? Our backup's not too far off, though. And once we get them onto the plaza, we get them back. It's not over yet, however, that took a decent amount of chunk out of our fighting strength, which is a real disappointment. I really expected them to hold up better than they did, but just the ability to push through spears, especially the inexperienced, under-equipped spears of the militia, that was more or less bound to happen.
Your general's nerve is broken and he is fleeing from the enemy!
At this point, I'm going to try to set up something similar. But on the town square, which should mean that...
Your general now lies dead because of his foolishness. His men
Which will
lose
mean
heart.
that we won't have to worry about breaking. However, they will still try to pull through us.
Your general has thrown away his life and now feeds the carrion birds. His men may soon be bird feed too.
Stab them. Stab the horses. And of course, because everyone's overlapping a bit, we're going to have a little bit of lag. And of course, they are going to swarm our spears and just push us off the square. I'm going to try to push back to keep them on the square so we don't have a break.
A defeat! So many good men have died to no...
Yeah, it was really surprising that they were able to push through our spears so quickly. That's really why we need more Hephaestus around. I feel confident we'll be able to regroup and then retake it. But we need to make sure that we are focusing on one target at a time. Who are you? Looks like a lot of javelins. Peltasts. I'm not that interested in fighting you, though. Oh, Sicilian pirates might be nice. As much as it would be nice for a revenge campaign, I'm not sure if that's the best move for us at this point. I think our best priority at this point is to go ahead and fall back to Sardis with this general, and see if we can't get troops together to go take on Halicarnassus and take the Mausoleum Wonder. If we're able to take the Mausoleum, that will give us a big boost to construction, which should help give us the edge that we need. And keep on keeping on with production. We have an extra general around here somewhere, I believe. Okay, our extra general is in the besieged settlement, which kind of sucks. But it looks like their faction leader actually died too, and like I had guessed, they do have 2 cataphracts. So if we're lucky, we won't have a repeat of last time. Hopefully. But again, cataphracts are very heavy, so it's possible that they do try something like that. Let's go ahead and get Hephaestus down in Hatra. Guess we'll need the bonuses. And with that, everyone who can produce is producing. Let's check the end of turn tab. Nothing new to report. Alright, let's hit end turn and hope for the best.
We are surrounded!
So it looks like they've moved an army down to attack Antioch, and it's fairly small. What is that? Okay, it's still heavy cavalry, though. But we have 3 units plus... what's that? Militia cavalry. We'll be able to get a detachment of reinforcements there in 2 turns.
Moves depleted, sir.
Oh, they're moving people by boat. That's what it is. So hopefully that's enough to reinforce the city against, you know, a few horses. It's a few heavy horses, so you can't underestimate heavy cav. Looks like Egypt and Pontus now are teaming up against us, so that's our north and south borders. Again, everyone who can produce should be producing. Patra is out of stuff to construct, so it's just down to producing more militia to support us. And maybe Parthia will eventually attack, or they just don't have infantry to attack us with. Actually, we can check that.
My lord!
Do you have infantry? You don't have infantry. There's no way for you to attack us. I'll need to think about that, because that's not an easy army to fight anywhere. As for Sardis, we can keep moving in the right direction.
Forward! Arab move, sir!
And keep producing militia. And in terms of notifications, other than the alliance stuff, there's nothing too much more to worry about. So with that, we'll have to end turn. And it does look like Pontus is taking a more aggressive stance against us. Can I get a spy in that direction? Yeah, I can. Let's see what they're about. Oh, and it's all peltasts and light infantry.
Yes,
In that case, let's take the detachment, and I feel like we could attack them.
Attack!
And they will stand and fight. It would be nice to have cavalry to fight them, though. Yeah, I won't press the attack this turn, however, I'll stand right there, and hopefully they feel confident enough to attack us, because we'll do much better on the defense. Now we do see movement coming around by Egypt. We don't have to be as cautious about their units as we do for Pontus and Armenia, and Parthia too. Yeah, the real downside to this is that we don't really have any answer to any of the cavalry. I mean, we could probably force them into a retreat, but this is going to be a messy fight, and I can't guarantee that both the family members will survive. I'll come back to that. I'm going to lower tax rate in Hatra to try to get the population to grow a little bit faster. Over in Sardis, our general has finally made it back, and let's keep heading in the right direction. And give him a detachment of, I don't know, we can spare probably 5. There. And there we go. And then again, let's do the same thing, lower tax rate to bump up population growth, because we're doing okay money-wise, but we're not doing okay population-wise. Let's see. It looks like Britain and Germany have finally gone to war as well. It looks like the Romans have gone to war with Carthage, which is basically to be expected. And then Armenia and Greece have teamed up. So that doesn't affect us too much, but Armenia is a potential enemy right on our border. We'll have to make this fight at some point because they are... the only way they're going to attack is if they get reinforcements. And with each turn we lose more people. Now, our hope would be that we're able to separate the horse archers from the cataphracts and get our heavy cav family members to fight the horse archers while our militia cav are able to pull off and attack the cataphracts, or we can fall back behind the hoplites and let the spear guys do most of the heavy lifting for us. Hopefully. I'm not looking for a big victory here, I'm just looking to do enough damage to force their retreat.
Await my orders!
Alright, let's start this and see what happens.
Units, standard formation! Units, march! Make haste! Militia cavalry! Militia cavalry!
Get
Units, stand and fight!
tell everyone to get through the doors as fast as possible.
Make haste! General! Units, make haste!
And maybe if we're lucky, they'll line up some way that's to our advantage. Are they going to press an attack? They're not in range, are they? Oh no, they're just readjusting. And we might also be in range. Yep, we're in range. They can hit us from there. Yeah, let's get our heavy cav off to this side. You want to pull them fairly thin, because that will give us the broadest... That'll give us the best surface area to hit them with. Yeah, basically switch sides with the missile cav. Hoplites continue doing their thing, they're kind of stuck in the door. Meanwhile, everyone's getting hit from all directions. And who are they going to follow? Yeah, let's keep, let's see if we can't keep them moving around a bit.
Kill them! Go, go, go!
I want them on skirmish mode, so that they are able to shoot and move. Yeah, and at this point, they are in the perfect position for us. Unless they're able to move the cataphracts. Yeah, I don't think the cataphracts are going to get there in time. We'll be able to get a good hit on them. Hopefully we'll get a good hit on them. Keep moving, avoid the cataphracts. You don't want to fight the cataphracts. And of course, horse archers weren't meant for fighting, and they break fairly quickly. They are good at running, though. Stay on them, and we'll get a few more kills out of it. Oh, same thing over here. We stay on it and get a few more kills out of them. And I'll send my general back towards the town. That's not a good thing to see. Oh, looks like they just missed that charge. And if I'm lucky, I should be able to get that family member out of the way, too. The nice thing about cataphracts is that they aren't that fast. And I'll head them back towards the spear phalanx. It looks like we're basically out of javelins at this point, And we've probably done 0 damage to the cataphracts. At least on the surface, their numbers are the same as where we left off with them.
Go, go, go! Units, double down!
Yeah, they're probably about the same. But if I had to guess, cataphracts don't have... Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But if I had to guess, their willingness to fight has started to fall apart. Yeah, I want to get you behind the phalanx. Yeah, I wanted to see if I couldn't snipe off the horse archers with you. I have to be careful because as we're getting shot, the generals are taking damage. I might be able to snipe off that last unit, I think. It all comes down to what the cataphracts decide to do. Oh, and it looks like we do have some dead cataphracts. Because we can move this way. And what do we have over here? Are they gonna do it? They are.
Kill them! Militia hoplites, march!
We'll have to kind of move our guys around. If we can help it. I want to be careful to keep the horses at spear tip, while keeping in mind that, yeah, let's grab you guys and cut off their escape. No cataphracts escape here. And again, I want to reposition our phalanx so we can pick away at them. Keep the dangerous horses at spear tip. And again, we will just collect on those kills. If they're dumb enough to charge spears, then I will be happy enough to collect on them. But we are getting into a dangerous position. Where we don't have spears to hide behind anymore. Yeah, I want to send my 2 heavy cav against... I don't know, I might be able to break them again, but let's send the lighter guy towards the horse archers, and maybe I'll be able to get a break out of these injured cataphracts. Do damage. A little bit of damage. Do you want to break? I know you want to break. You're broken. Okay, stay on top of them and kill them. No one left alive. And I'll tell my horses in the back to wipe out those horse archers. 1 guy left? 5 guys left. Stay on him. No cataphracts left alive here. Oh, you can't be broken already. Who are you, Jump? You didn't get killed, did you? No, you're still alive. Where's my other guy? He's over here. Let's see if we can't get a repeat on the general cataphracts. I don't know how horse archers broke. What, 200? 250? Yep, order a charge at the last second and then hit them. And maybe we'll do enough damage. If not, we need to call off the attack as soon as possible. What do they have left? 8? There they go. Stay on him, stay on him, stay on him.
General with fear. Now he flees the field like a
No
coward.
cataphracts left alive here.
Great
there he
God
goes.
be praised! The enemy general is killed!
And let's see if we
Fear
can't
makes a
chase
home in our
down
enemy's
that
hearts.
last unit. We got very lucky here. Cataphracts and horse archers can be very, very
This is a
noble,
heroic-
or very nimble units if you let them. And they got more kills on us, but we got the kills where it matters. It's going to be a long time till they're able to put cataphracts on the field against us.
Glorious victory!
And with that, we secure Seleucia for another turn. And yet our other capital city remains in danger. If we're lucky, they'll decide to attack over the end turn, but they're not building siege equipment, so, well, they probably have fairly low manpower to build siege equipment with. But hopefully we'll be able to fight that fight. And then after that, we'll be able to take on Halicarnassus very soon. But I believe that is the perfect place to pick up next time. Until then, I'm Riley with Moving Parts Gaming. Stay tuned, and I will catch you next time. Oh yeah, and also check out my channel for other stuff. I'm always doing crazy dumb challenges with RPGs and strategy games. Alright, see ya!